Yo, 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 what is up, party people? Welcome to another episode of Thrive and Dive, thriving in life as we dive into deeper conversations. And I'm joined here by my good friend, the one and only Jordan Gurton.
What's going on, everybody?
How are you doing today, Jordan?
I'm doing pretty well, thank you.
Good. Well, I'm so excited to have Jordan on Thrive and Dive because Jordan is someone that I go way back with. I've got a few people so far on the channel that I go really way back with, and Jordan is definitely one of those people. If I recall, Jordan, my first interaction with you was when you were in 6th grade, and I was a junior in high school. We attended the same school. Shout out to Masters Academy.
Shout out.
And we ran cross country on the same team. I mean, you were on the middle school team, I was on the high school team, but we still had practices together. Do you remember those days?
Oh yeah, I definitely remember those days. You know, coming to a new school and then, finally getting to meet people. Summer workouts for cross country.
Yeah.
That was rough.
Let's go. And did you move to Vero and then went to Masters, or you've been at Vero Beach and then you just attended a new school?
Yeah, so I lived in Vero all my life. And then I think transitioning from 5th grade to 6th grade, I got the opportunity to come to Masters. So I took it, and boom, now we know each other forever.
There you have it. Yes. So Jordan, man, he was a stout, strapping young 6th grader. That sounds kind of weird to say when I was in high school, but he was the man, right? You think he was in 8th grade as a 6th grader. And
he a grown man.
Yeah, and he rocked the cross country. Even though I don't think cross country was necessarily like your top sport per se. You're really into basketball, and then later you played football.
Yeah.
But you still crunched at it like nobody's business. And there's some races where, so in cross country, if you don't know, it's your top 5 runners, and we were both, not that our team was super competitive, but you and I were both the top 5 runners for some of those races. And I remember specifically, shout out to Coach Randy. I forget his last name. You remember Coach Randy?
Yeah, I remember Coach Randy.
How could you forget him?
How could you forget?
What a legend. And a little bit about Coach Randy. Coach Randy, on the older side, right? A seasoned coach, right? And he had a wicked fast, either it was in a mile time or 5K time. I can't remember what it was, but it was like super fast.
Yeah, I think it was his 5K time.
His 5K time.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking like 15-minute 5K time. If not, I feel like it was in the 14. Like, it was something ridiculous.
Yeah, it was something like crazy fast.
Yeah, and he had like the record at whatever school he was at. I don't think he's a local to Vero. But anyway, Coach Randy, he was the man. He was our coach. And he would make fun of Jordan, though. Jordan, do you remember what he would call your form in your running?
So, backstory for this.
We
were at practice, and I don't know, I think we were just doing, I think it was like 20 minutes of running or something like that. And I guess he saw how I would run when I would get into a pace, and it would be kind of slow. But he called it the Jordan Shuffle, and for some reason it stuck with everybody. So every time somebody would run slow, they would mention that they're doing the Jordan Shuffle. And, I was a meme of the cross country team, but it's okay because, we still talk about it today. So
there you go. Yeah, you're a legend. Whether it was you getting made fun of or not, you made your mark on the team. The Jordan Shuffle. It's kind of funny, It's one of those things where like you recognize it. But then when someone puts a name to it, you're like, oh, that makes so much sense, right? Because I couldn't put my finger on it. I'm not a cross country wizard, but there's something about your form. I'm like, how do you describe that? And Coach is like, it's the Jordan Shuffle. It's like, oh, that makes so much sense. The Jordan Shuffle. Do you still do the Jordan Shuffle when you run?
Actually, no. I've lengthened my
or
stride out.
Or do you not run anymore?
No, I still run.
Okay.
I lengthened my stride out. I mean, and my resting pace is a lot faster than it was in middle school. So,
really? Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
I got my form down a little bit more.
Let's go. And do you know your fastest 5K? I don't know when you stopped running cross country and then started playing football.
I think I stopped after my 7th grade year, 8th grade year, I think.
Okay.
Fastest 5K time was, I think, like 21 minutes and something seconds.
Wow, that's pretty good, especially for a middle schooler.
Yeah. Holy Trinity.
Yeah, that's where I got my initial PR, and then I got, So, that's cool. Awesome, Jordan. Well, a little more context, guys, for you Thrive and Divers of Jordan and I's friendship. So, started in cross country. It was really cool being able to, as a junior, then a senior, and he was in 7th grade, being able to pour into the younger runners, pour into those who weren't the same age as me, and things like that. And it was really cool, Jordan. I don't know if you remember this, but this kind of is I don't know, a defining moment for me in terms of my relationship with the Lord, and also kind of even a little bit of a call to ministry and pastoring and discipleship. I don't know if you remember, but my senior year, there were days after youth group we would meet up. I think in Pastor Nate's now office, but it was an empty room at one point. We'd meet up, and I don't know what we talked about, to be honest. But it was kind of like discipleship meeting check-ins, if you will.
Yeah.
And I don't know how that started. I don't know if you initiated that, if I initiated that, or your parent or your mom or what. I don't know who did. Or maybe Brandy. Is that Aunt Brandy? Aunt Brandy Gibson? Yeah, because she helped out with the youth ministry. Oh, legendary times, man. Those are good times.
Wow. Back.
Wow, that's a throwback. Wow. But I remember those discipleship meetings. Really just, man, the senior in high school pouring into someone else. I'm like, this is cool. I like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember kind of came to a climax at it was called a middle school retreat, I'm pretty sure. We don't do those anymore, but it was just like middle schooler camp. We went to Lake Aurora, and I remember just a great weekend, crazy weekend, because middle schools are crazy, and us high schoolers were your chaperones, which doesn't really
it's not any better.
Yeah, not any better, right? It's not like we can squelch the craziness. If anything, we probably add to it, right? But I remember one night, it was just I forget, I think Austin Shaner, shout out to Austin Shaner, I think he was the speaker. I remember this one night, I forget, again, the context and all the details, but I remember you asked just for prayer, and we just kind of had a moment, which kind of sounds weird to say, but if you grew up in the faith and you know those times when you have a moment with the Lord, it's really a defining moment. I remember, I think you were having one of those defining moments with the Lord where you're just totally in His presence and you wanted prayer. And I remember we prayed together, and I was bawling my eyes out. I think you were too. I can't remember specifically, but you remember that?
Yeah,
that time.
That's actually funny that you bring up that story, because that's probably a core memory for me. Was that just that time, and being able to come to you, and just be able to open up, and not feel judged or anything, but just being able to open up and just seek your counsel, and what's the word? Seek your just your support. There it is. So I think that was definitely a core memory that I probably won't ever forget.
Yeah, likewise, Jordan. So this is awesome, man. Just we were 5 years apart in terms of age, but still that didn't stop us from doing life together. And then obviously now that we're kind of in the same stage of life in a way, we get to now, so I was pouring into you kind of as like a Paul to Timothy, but now I see you as a fellow Barnabas, right? So meaning we're kind of on the same playing field, if you will, and we just do life together. We encourage one another. Yeah, I learned stuff from you. You learned stuff from me, but for the most part, it's just a solid friendship.
Yeah.
So I remember even specifically when I was done with college and I came back to Vero Beach, and you were, I think, in 10th grade when I came back. Just wow, man, it's crazy how time just flies. And seeing you lead so well in our youth group, because Jordan was super involved in our youth group, still is, and just leading as a student leader. And, it's kind of like as Pastor Nate would say, shout out to Pastor Nate, a proud dad moment. Not that I'm your dad by any means, but it's man, I'm proud of that guy. You being able to invest in him. Not that it was anything with me; it was all the Lord working in and through me and our friendship. And then seeing you, cultivate your relationship with the Lord more, and seeing you even. I'm sure you're not perfect, and we're not saying you are, but you seeing you lead at youth group, and you also went to a public high school, which that could be another whole conversation about how the Lord worked through you and that, and how to stand firm in your faith, playing for Vero Beach High School football team, and just seeing you're steady is the word I want to say. You're just steady. You're consistent. You're unashamed from what I could see. Obviously, there could have been moments that I didn't see, which is fine. We all have those moments of maybe weakness and things like that. So, and then now, seeing where you're at now. So Thrive and Divers, anything you want to add to that before I jump into kind of where we're going with Thrive and Dive?
No.
Yeah, sounds good. So with Thrive and Divers, what I want is Jordan is he's just going to share his testimony. We're not going to dive into a specific topic per se, look up some Bible verses and share some commentary on it. If some topics do come up during this testimonial time, great. We'll let the Lord lead as the Lord leads. But I just wanted to hear from Jordan, because like I said, he's a man of God that's, fought the good fight for years now, Right. I know he's not that old yet, but just the maturity this guy already has as a 21-year-old. Are you even 21 yet?
No,
Tw-
I turned 21 in couple weeks.
Couple weeks, yeah.
Yeah.
So as a 20-year-old, seeing, I know a little bit about your story, but we haven't necessarily gone super depth in terms of upbringing, testimony per se. But from
Yeah.
what I've seen, Jordan, it's just like, man, you have just been a good steward of what the Lord has given you, and have not been defined by different things, but let the Lord work in and through you. And you're a role model. Is basically what I'm getting at. You're a leader. You're a role model. So I'm like, man, I just want to, whether we talk about something specific or not, I want people to hear from you, Jordan, because you do have influence. And I think you know that, but I just want to remind you of that. And it's so cool to see. So, Jordan, if you don't mind, go ahead and give us a little, walk us through the life of Jordan Girton from, well, I'll let you decide where you want to start. I was thinking from graduation to where you are now. If you want to include high school in there too, that's fine. But kind of how the Lord is leading you in this next season. As we know, this 18 to 24 years season is one of the most influential seasons in a person's life, because you're deciding your beliefs, you're deciding where you're calling, you're deciding what you're gifted at, what your passions are. Super important time of your life. So tell us a little bit about this season.
Okay, yeah. So, graduated from high school in 2021, and then after I graduated, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. In high school, I was a big athletics guy. So, that was kind of like my one sole passion that I had that I really wanted to do in college. So when it came to graduation and, those, athletic plans started to kind of fizzle out, I wasn't really sure. So I took a year off from school and, kind of just worked, tried to figure out what I wanted to do. And then Pastor Nate came to me and asked me if I wanted to do an internship here. So I took him up on the opportunity just because, you never know. So I took up the opportunity, and for a whole year, I think it was actually the same year that I graduated. From 21 to 22, interned here, loved it, being a student leader, kind of got me ready to take on that internship role. And once he offered it to me, I just ran with it because, I have a love and respect for the youth group. And, being in the youth group from 6th grade to right now, I'm not going to calculate how many years that is, but
It's a long time.
Yeah, it's a long time. But yes, ran with it, loved every minute of it. There were some days where it was, long and grueling, especially during the summer, playing all those, games and big events. Shout out Summer Olympics.
Oh, yeah. So just some context. Yeah. So the youth group internship that he's talking about, Pathway Students, is the youth group I currently work for and Pastor Nate works for. We do these big Summer Olympics themed things over the summer, which takes a lot of work and preparation and details. And Jordan rocked it when he was planning it. So, yeah, keep going.
So yeah, during the year, led a group of guys, middle school and high school. I think I had like 6th grade guys or 7th grade guys, and then 9th grade guys. So just being able to pour into them and kind of be a role model, be a leader. I've always I grew up like that, being a role model and being a leader. That's kind of what my family instilled into me. So after that, I kind of made up my mind what I wanted to do. At first, I wanted to do like physical therapy and stuff, but as I looked more into it, it started getting more and more boring the more I read about it. But so I was talking with some of my family members now. The twins, Brandon and Bradley.
Yeah, shout out to Brandon and Bradley.
Yes.
Dampier.
So I was talking with them about it, about Fire Academy, and trying to become a firefighter, and they encouraged me to do it. They just everything I could ask, they just kind of told me about it. They could see me doing it, and a lot of my family members said that they could see me doing it. And I don't know if I took it as a sign to go ahead and do this. I don't know if anybody else has ever felt like that, where you have multiple people over a period of time tell you like, hey, I think you'd be good at this, or I could see you doing this. And I don't know, I just took that as a sign from God to, go ahead and just take that leap of faith, because, like you said, these years that we're in now are the most influential, and they're also the scariest, because you're jumping into a lot of unknown. But yeah, so before I could go into the fire academy, I had to go to EMT school, which was amazing. I met a couple of my friends that I have now through EMT school. Did that from January to April, because EMT school is only like 3 months. And I got to see like kind of the ins and outs of how like a firehouse works, and like just how they operate. During that time, I had to do ride-alongs. So for 12 hours, I'd be at a firehouse, and I'd go on calls in the ambulance, see how people, see how they interact, see what needs to be done, soak up all the information I can from the older guys that have been working there for some years. And through that time, like being in EMT school, it kind of made me want it more. And being out in the field and, seeing what I could potentially be doing, I just, took it. I was like, this has got to be something that I got to do, because one, helping people has always been a big part of my life as well. I would like to think that I'm a selfless person, and being in the fire service, being a public servant, I think is one, it's a big responsibility, but it also is a good way to spread the good news, spread God. And I think one of my instructors said that we get called on people's worst days. So, being able to be a light on somebody's worst day, I think is an important thing. And, being able to faith-base that, and, push God into somebody's ear that might be having, once again, like the worst day of their life. And, just put that pebble in their shoe and get them interested. That's one of my goals for that. But yeah, so after EMT school, had the summer off, because fire academy didn't start until August, and then helped out here. After that, fire academy started, and I'll go into the first week. The first week was good. Monday through Thursday was like okay. I was doing class stuff, and then Thursday we were outside, learning how to put on our gear and take it off, and they were timing us and stuff.
Which is quite a process.
Which it is quite a process, But Friday was the true test, and like this was the first test of if I really wanted it or not. So they called it Hell Friday. So basically, we get there. School starts at like, I think school started at like 7:30. So it's early. They're like, all right, go ahead, get your gear out. We're gonna do what we did on Thursday. So we're in there putting on our gear, taking it off, putting on our gear, taking it off, and then one of the times that we put our gear on, they're like, all right, we're going for a walk. So all like 30 of us, we got in 2 lines and we started walking, and we get to the parking lot where our cars are, and they're like, all right, start lunging. So we started doing lunges in the parking lot, and then he was like, just go until I say stop. Lunge down a whole line in the parking lot, and then get up, start walking again. And this is my first time, being in gear and, being in that August heat at
no, if you're not from Florida, August in Florida is brutal.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. But yeah, so we were walking, and then he was like, all right, start doing bear crawls. So we're doing bear crawls, And at this point, I'm already sweating. Like
Mm.
it's hot. I can't really breathe because of my face shield and stuff. So get to a patch of grass, do more exercises, and it was brutal. And while I was in that patch of grass in the plank position, waiting for some of my classmates to finish their bear crawl, the thought of they're pushing for people to quit. You know, they
Mm.
have to see like who really wants it and who wants to be here no matter how hard it gets.
Mm.
And you know, I had a moment of doubt
Mm.
when we were out there. Um, you know, I was super uncomfortable, super hot, and you know that thought of, all right, maybe I should just like, this isn't it. Like I don't want to do this. I want to quit like so bad right now. And I knew that I couldn't. I I don't think I've ever quit something
Mm.
that I chose to do,
Mm.
and it would have I think it would have been soul crushing for me to know
Mm.
that I quit something that I chose to do and that, you know, I wanted to do.
Mm.
So we get through our walk and I'm overheated. We made the dumb decision, or not decision, but a mistake. I didn't bring my water bottle before we went on the walk, and they were like, "All right, go ahead and get water." And I was like, "I don't have any water." But we get back and you know, once again just putting our gear, taking it off, and after that, we did another little walk, but this time they took us out to the training grounds, and we went up our. There's a like a it's a 6-story tower with a roof, so like 7 stories, and you know, they made us go up it and go down, and then there's like another 3-story building across the ground, so we had to go to that one and go up and go down, and I'm exhausted. It's only 10:30, probably 11 o'clock, and I'm dying. But yeah, we get through the morning, go to lunch, and I think we had like 4 people quit at lunch,
Mm.
and so yeah, just you know, hearing about it because the word spreads fast when there's only 30 of you,
Mm.
and you know, kind of just walk outside, you can see them, you can hear them talking about it and see them talking about it. So after lunch, we did air comp drill, which is pretty much like my first time being on air.
Mm.
And so basically, they just put us through a
Like breathing air. Like yeah.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah. So we learned how to hook up a tank to our packs, and then they put us through like this obstacle course
Mhm.
type deal. So we had to chop wood for 2 minutes, hit a tire with a sledgehammer for 2 minutes, take a break, and they just wanted to see like how much work we could get done on a full bottle of air.
Mm.
So go, um, so once I got to the point where my bottle was low, I had to go downstairs and I had to go out to this patch of grass and crawl around on my hands and knees until my bottle completely ran out. And then the instructor had to come over and, you know, look at my mask and see if I was actually out of air. And the only way that they could tell was by letting my mask stuck to my face. So I have no air, and I'm pretty much like suffocating a little bit. But once they see that, you know, you have your like you're completely out of air, like, all right, you can go ahead and take your mask off. So, you know, it's rough and it's scary, but you know, at the same time, you have to be able to you have to be okay with that,
Mm.
because it's a matter of, if you were to ever be in that situation, it could be a matter of life and death. And you know, I took when they said that, I took it very seriously, just because this is a line of work that,
Mm.
you know, every day you could potentially be playing for keeps, you
Mm.
know. So, you know, once that was over, I had to go get a new bottle because my group and another group had to go through this trailer maze. And pretty much what it was is just like a confined space maze
Mm.
inside of like a big it's almost like a horse trailer but enclosed. Um so, you know, we pretty much did that. we were blindfolded for that one. It was dark in there. They had loud music playing, and you know, you and your partner are trying to, you know, one, get over your potential fear of claustrophobia,
Oh wow, yeah.
and then at the same time, you know, get through this maze without completely losing your mind or completely freaking out, which I got through it. I was breathing like hard,
Yeah.
but got through that. And after that first week, that kind of pretty much summed up that one Friday. But
Wow. That's just the first week.
That's just the first week. But you know, after that, started getting into the process. You know, learning what firefighters do, what we need to do to be efficient. And it's kind of like one of my instructors says, like a paramilitary organization. And you know, the way that we were structured, you know, just having that structure, it definitely felt like that. You know, getting punished, or not punished,
right.
positively reinforced,
Oh,
so you
yes.
wouldn't do it again.
There you go.
You know, positive reinforcement, push-ups, stuff like that. But it was definitely a fun time. It went by really fast. I definitely learned a lot, and you know, made a lot of friends.
Yeah.
I would say one of the things that I learned from it was, well, there's a lot of application to, you know, just being determined. You know, like it got challenging, and you know, there were days and times where I just, you know, didn't want to do it, and you know, I kind of had to force myself to, you know, get up and, you know, keep pushing forward, because at the end of the day, there was a goal that I wanted to achieve.
Yeah.
And I couldn't achieve it if I was just gonna, you know, wimp out and, you know,
Right.
I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
And then that first Friday hit, boom. It was my first challenge in life, and you know, it was difficult. And for those of you who don't know, I know that there's some people that I know that watch this, but grew up so father wasn't around when I was younger, so it was just me and my mom. And then you know, it was challenging, not having that father figure in the house. And then my mom remarried, and then I think I was like 12 or something like that.
Wow.
They ended up splitting. So, you know, kind of trying to connect all this together, but
yeah.
it was definitely challenging. Like that first challenge that I got spiritually, that was definitely a milestone for me, I would say. I look at the challenges that I've overcome, and, you know, kind of reflect on those, and, you know, see how far I've came, and see what it's done, and, you know, how it's changed me for better or for worse.
Yeah.
And then, you know, kind of relating the academy back to, you know, my faith and my walk. You know, like I said, there were days where I didn't want to do it. It's a grueling process, you know, learning how to, you know, be better, and, you know, learning how to wake up with appreciation for it, because I get to do something or I have the opportunity to do something that not a lot of other people, you know, could potentially do.
Yeah.
And you know, it all really came down to, you know, being thankful and having gratitude for it. So I graduated November 9th. So, you know, fresh out, just
absolutely.
trying to get what I need to do done.
Absolutely.
So that way I can, you know, finally call myself a firefighter. And I'm excited for the journey. I definitely have the opportunity to change the fire service. I know that's one of the things that some of my instructors have definitely not harped on, but they've brought it up because we're the next generation that is gonna be taking care of our generation and our past generations. So being able to change things for the better and kind of leave that footprint, I take a responsibility for that, and I want to be able to fulfill that and do my absolute best to just make it a better environment and a better place work wise and for the community.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jordan, for sharing all that. Man, thanks for being personal. Thanks for sharing all the context. Guys, I hope you find that honestly inspiring. Yeah. There's a couple comments I want to make, Jordan. Some things I want to highlight from that testimonial that I think is just so worth repeating, which is awesome. One, as Jordan was trying to figure out what the Lord has for him, I do believe Jordan, it's actually funny, I was talking with Bethany Bardwell a couple months ago about her journey and how the Lord was leading her to South Korea. She's studying in South Korea, and how in a short window of time, multiple people affirmed the pursuit to go to South Korea. And you were talking about, several people said, affirmed you in the way of like, man, I think you'd be good at this firefighter stuff, right? I think that is the Lord. Some people could say it's coincidence. I think it's the Lord personally. And he does that. I'm not saying he does that all the time when he directs us to make decisions, but on the big ones, he tends to do so. Another thing, Jordan, you said that I think was super good, I think we need to really cling on to, is as he was describing that first week and that Friday, Hell Day, or whatever it was called, right? And how it was such a grueling experience and how the instructors designed it so that those who want to be a firefighter will be the only ones that are firefighters, not people that are just there for whatever because they need something to do per se, right? And I think you said something that was really, really important, Jordan, how you set your mind to something and how you have a reputation, a commitment to yourself. When you set your mind to something that you want to do, you're going to see it through, right? That develops grit, right? Unfortunately, a lot of us, myself included, can be weak in the grit department where we set aside a goal or aim or decision, but then we flake on it halfway through. And that's really actually destructive to you. Your motivation is destructive to your confidence. It's destructive to your commitment to the Lord even. I would go so far to say. It's funny, Jordan, we were talking about this in our young adults Bible study months ago about you need to let your yes and let your yes be yes and your no be no. Jesus says this on the Sermon on the Mount. And don't make promises. Just be a man and woman of your word. And we got talking, Jordan, about how we not only need to keep our word when we give it to other people, like if I say, let's play pickleball, and I ditch and flake, I think that's a character problem, in my opinion. But we can also do that to ourselves, right? Where we make goals, disciplines, and then we're like, I'm not going to do it. So a classic example, like you said, like you probably wouldn't, you'd have been super hard on yourself if you quit.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't have been able to let it go because, they told us, they're like, what did they say? Oh, they're like, you weren't drafted. You chose to be here.
Right.
So it was like, I mean, you're right. Like, it's not like they wanted me to be here. This is something that I chose to do on my own free will, so I need to make sure I put my best foot forward and, constantly give my all to it.
And power through it. And then something with that, Jordan, something I've noticed in you and continue to see in you is that you have a big heart, right? You care for people so well, right? And I believe that's important. I mean, I'm not a first responder, so I can't speak into it. I have no experience. But having that care for your community, having that care for people is what's going to drive you to push through. Am I correct in saying that, or do you think there's another motivation per se? Obviously, you want a job, you need money, finances. But like, what's that passion that gets you out of bed, that makes you have that drive to go through that maze on a tank of air where you're suffocating in the heat and whatever? What, obviously you could say you want to glorify the Lord, but how? And was I spot on with that compassion for people, or is there more to that?
Yeah, I think I don't know. I guess I would just, I know it's gonna sound funny when I say it, but I think I'm built for it. I think this was my calling. This was my purpose on this earth. I think the Lord put me through all those things in my childhood to give me that big heart and have compassion for people when they're at their lowest, because I know that at those points in time, I had to step up as, the oldest son in the house. I had to step up and, provide compassion for younger siblings and, even my mom at times. And I don't know, I think the Lord just built me, for this role. He built me to, be able to understand where people are coming from. And yeah, I just think he built me for it.
That's good. I like that. And I think I could say with confidence, Jordan, that God has built each and every one of you for something, right? I was actually sharing not too long ago in a chapel message, because I'm the chaplain at a school here, Masters Academy, the school that Jordan and I went to for a time. I was sharing with them that God has given you a purpose, right? He's made you on purpose for a purpose, right? And if you read in the book of Ecclesiastes, it's kind of a sad book, but it's in the Word of God, and it makes a great point. Solomon, the king of Israel, back way in the day, who was the most rich king, the most famous king. He had like 1,000 wives, right? It's kind of weird. It's kind of crazy, right? Because he kind of went off the deep end. But he talks about how everything under the sun is meaningless. It's just chasing after the wind. Pleasure, power, success, fame, whatever, you name it. It's just meaningless, right? It's kind of depressing. He sounds like a nihilist. A nihilist is someone who believes there is no hope, there is no meaning to life, right? But then he says at the end, wait a minute. All this stuff is meaningless. But when you live according to the purposes of the Lord, life has purpose. I'm paraphrasing a little bit. You get to the end of the chapter 12, right? Chapters 1 through 11 is just talking about how everything's meaningless. But then you realize, wait, God has created me for a purpose, right? And that's what I want to, that's my hope, my heart for every one of you guys listening, whether you believe in God or not, is that you recognize that there is a God and that he has created you for a purpose. It says in Ephesians that you and I are God's masterpieces, created to do good works, that he has prepared individually for each of us, right? And when you walk in that sweet spot of those good works that God's prepared for you, when you walk into your purpose like Jordan is describing, right? That's where you're going to find satisfaction and fulfillment. It's going to be hard, 100%. It's not going to be some walk in the park, but it's so well worth it. And obviously, Jordan, you're still young into this new season, right? So I'd love to actually have you back on Thrive and Dive a couple years from now to tell us about how the Lord's continued to use you.
Oh, yeah.
But up to this point, man, like you said, even with your upbringing, the Lord has been molding you and shaping you, right? And someone could see your circumstances, your upbringing as a negative, which is in the sense of like God didn't want that per se, but he's using it to use you to be a blessing and an impact to so many other people, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. So that's really all of the comments I have on that. Man, that was wonderful, Jordan. Anything else you want to say on top of that, or does that sound good?
Yeah, I think that's good.
Good, man. Well, guys, I hope you're encouraged by that testimony. Again, you guys, we all need to be sharing our stories, of how the Lord is working through us and how we have learned lessons, right? And one last thing that Jordan mentioned that I think would be great to close on is that, he's seen milestones of how the Lord has worked in his life, right? At a young age, through the trials of life. We talked about the core memory we were joking, of me and him growing in the Lord together when he was in middle school and I was in high school, right? These are core memories. These are milestones. And now he talked about his internship at Pathway Church. And, dude, I could talk and brag on you about that for another 30 minutes, right? And just how the Lord used you in that season, right? It was so cool, man. And that's another milestone, though, right? And then you're talking about this Fire Academy being another milestone. And we're constantly going to go through milestones. It's important that we remember these milestones and build them as monuments. That's what the Israelites did back in the Old Testament, right? They put stones up to remind them of how the Lord worked in their lives. And I encourage you guys, don't forget how the Lord has worked in your life. It's just how Jordan is probably not going to forget how the Lord has been working in his life and will continue to work in his life. So, enough of my monologuing. This is Thrive and Dive. Thriving in life as we dive into deeper conversations. Have a good rest of your day.
See you.